Hello and welcome to the Nikon D5200 channel. We're just going to have a quick look through the effects modes today. The effects modes you can see on the dial mode at the top, and they're basically all the modes between the scene modes, which you can see there, right through round to where it actually says effects above the manual setting. So if we switch the camera on, you'll see here that the effects mode always really shows up in the top left hand corner. And this one is the portrait mode, which is the first one to come along too. It's an auto mode, which is great for taking portraits. It really prioritizes skin tones and also gives you a fairly shallow depth of field so that your subject really stands out in that portrait. The next one is landscape, and as you might imagine, that gives you a much longer shutter speed to give you a great wider depth of field, to give you a lot more detail in there. The one following that is child mode, which helps to set up the camera with a faster shutter speed so that you can catch active children doing whatever they do, which is not terribly far away from sports mode. That again speeds up the shutter speed and reduces the aperture so that you can catch action pictures. The remaining one outside of the effects mode is the close-up mode, and as that suggests, that gives you the ability to shoot close-ups a bit better. Obviously, if you can attach a macro lens with that, then all the better. And then you come into the general effects modes here. As you can see, the effects are again still in the top left-hand corner, and you can change those within this setting by moving the rotary dial here. So if we go on to what is essentially the first one, and that's night vision, these shoot black and white images. They shoot with a high ISO, which means that you do get a bit of grain, a bit of noise, but they do also switch off the flash and the flash assist light at the front. So it's usually recommended that you use a tripod for that. The next one is the color sketch, which is quite fun. When you shoot things with that, it does give the effect of it being a colour sketch, and if you use it with movie, it plays back like a slideshow, and that's quite a funky little effect that you can use. The one following is the miniature effect, and that basically makes it look like you're either shooting from a very long way away or you're shooting things which are very, very small. It's also quite handy in video setting as well, because it shoots perhaps 20 or 30 minutes of film and then compresses that down to 2 or 3 minutes, and it's quite an interesting effect, so we'll go into that later on. Selective color is next, and that's what we usually call the Schindler effect, after the girl in the red dress in Schindler's List. But basically what it does is you can select specific colors that you want to keep, and then once you've done that, the camera loses all the rest of the colour to make the rest of the image black and white, so that obviously the image, or the piece of the image that you've selected, stands out all the more. The next one is the silhouette, which I guess is fairly obvious. It makes a silhouette of whatever's in the foreground. And then finally, the last two keys, you've got high key, which bands shadow and emphasises the light available. And a good use of this sort of effect is perhaps shooting someone who's blonde against a white background, or something that's quite light against a white background. And then the complete reverse of that is low key, which emphasizes the shadow and tries to get rid of most of the highlights except the very extremes. So those are the effect modes which are available on the Nikon D5200. We've just had a quick overview. We will go into them in more detail, but that's that for now.